Hey, I'm Lewis, and I'm the Pillarista you're going to meet today. Yeah, so I started my first company when I was 16, and I have spent most of the last decade working in startups with, design, development, user experience, pretty much across the whole stack. Along the way, I've done a couple more companies. I went through Techstars, and I've become deeply cynical by seeing dozens of companies die or go to the moon. And it's my mission to do whatever I can to solve problems. And that's really what I look for, is interesting problems. And I think Pillar might be the most interesting problem I've ever seen in my entire career, my entire life. It feels so gargantuan, but seeing people chip away at it is really inspirational. And feeling like I'm actually making a difference in that I'm helping solve that problem is super motivating in the way that working for just another startup might not necessarily be. A friend of mine asked me to turn up at the building at 10 a.m. one day, and I had no idea what I was turning up for. When I got there, I was incredibly confused, and within minutes, I knew I was in the right place. So I volunteered for a week or so, and then I came on board for a month, and then it progressed into being full-time, and I've never felt so at home, and I've never felt like such a part of a family as I have here. I would say that I sit 50% on the design team, 50% on the dev team, and my main role is to sort of bridge that gap and to make sure that everything is coordinated and everybody understands how things should look and how things should feel, flying the flag for the user, making sure that things are usable, things are super high quality. It was crazy. You had all these crypto anarchists and crazy hackers in one room alongside people who are clearly very into their business. And I couldn't quite make sense of it because I'd never worked in crypto before. Quickly I understood that everyone sort of has their place, everybody does everything pretty much. The offices just kept expanding, room after room after room. The growth was just insane. I could kind of describe it as a hybrid between The Social Network and The Wolf of Wall Street. The way we work is incredibly experimental. We're ripping everything down and starting it again, in a sense. The whole self-managed aspect is kind of interesting because you need to learn to trust people. Kind of like being a part of a pirate squad or something. You know, there's one guy who sails the ship, there's another guy who fires the gun, there's another guy who digs up the treasure. That's kind of how we're working, very much like pirates. I think the biggest challenge is communicating in a place where people are self-managed. You need to learn how to trust people and how to listen and how to bring everybody's great ideas into a greater whole. We don't want a superhero culture. We don't want people who are clearly high flyers and people who are worker bees. We want to try and integrate everybody in a way that makes them feel happy. And happiness is really the biggest metric I think we measure everything by, especially within the dev team. Another one of the biggest challenges is having insanely high standards and trying to make sure that everybody reaches those standards. It's a continual battle, but I think ultimately it comes from a place of love. I think everyone is pretty much driven by this idea to change the way people think about data, change the way people relate to data, change the way people think about crypto wallets. We all have the same passion in mind, and I think that's what helps us turn this great big party into a very productive place to work. Well, I certainly think the way Pillar comes across online and the way we are in reality can sometimes be different things to people. And so the best thing to do is just to talk to us. I think we're all fairly approachable. You can message me however you like, you can message anybody else. And that conversation could lead to you coming in and meeting the team. I mean, we're fairly accessible, we're fairly open, and I think that's a very core part of our culture. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. I'd encourage you to get in touch with me on Twitter. My handle is Flude, and you can talk to me about Pillar or anything else you like. I'd also encourage you to get stuck into our online community, Mattermost. My handle is the same there, and you can just chat to me about anything you like, especially Pillar. Please talk to me about Pillar because I love Pillar.